Welcome to the Everyday Conversion Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Severcrop, and I am just like you. I'm busy with work, family, kids, church, and a million other responsibilities. And honestly, some days I miss my personal scripture study and prayers. And some days we as a family miss our scripture study and prayer. But I'm trying. So if you're not perfect in living the restored gospel of Jesus Christ, but you're trying, we'll get along great, and this is the place for you. 5 days a week, I'll share a brief episode, often based on the Come Follow Me curriculum for that week that I'm using to have daily conversations with my kids, whether we're on our way to school or on our way home, or if it's real quick before dinner. And you're welcome to use them to do the same with your family or your personal study. Just know that the views and opinions I share are mine alone and do not represent the official doctrine and viewpoint of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now let's jump right in with today's episode.
All right, welcome back to the Everyday Conversion Podcast. This is episode 119, and I'm recording this on the Monday before Thanksgiving. And I tell you that because today's topic is based on Thanksgiving, on gratitude. And, I was thinking about what I was going to record today, and I realized that how sometimes when you're in church, there's really, really good talks. And then sometimes there's talks that they're like, yeah, they're okay. And I started thinking, I'm like, what is the difference between those two? And I've realized that for me, the major difference between what I consider a really great talk and an okay talk is typically a couple things. One, is it applicable? Can I apply it right away? Is there actionable advice, things that I can do? And two, is there great stories? Well, yesterday there was a talk in Sacrament in my ward that really hit home in the applicable area. As a matter of fact, it's something that my family and I are going to do this week, and it applied to gratitude, which obviously makes sense with Thanksgiving coming up in a couple days. But the talk was by a sister in our ward, Sister Castillo, and she said her talk was titled 10 Lists. And basically what she did is she went through and she gave us a suggestion of 10 lists that we should make in order to be more grateful, to have more gratitude. And as I was thinking about these lists and writing them down, I realized that it was something I wanted to do with my family. I wanted to, I think what we'll do is just get some papers and we'll put them up on the wall. And as we think of things, we can just write down what we're grateful for in each of these categories. And I really like the idea, and I want to share it with you and encourage you to do it with your family this week, because I think it'd be, a worthwhile activity to do between now and Thanksgiving, and really any time, but certainly between now and Thanksgiving. So I just wanted to share those lists with you. And if you go to everydayconversion.com/119 for episode 119, you can see the full list of these lists, the full 10. And she actually gave us 12, but I dropped it down to 10. So she kind of over delivered. But I'll give you the list of my 10 favorites and the 10 that we'll probably do as a family, so that you can do it as well, even if you only picked a couple of these lists. Now, I will say that she said that the first two lists are probably the most important and the ones that you really should focus on. But she said you can make lists for anything. So this might spark your interest or spark some ideas of some other lists that you could make as a family. So feel free to do that as well. The idea is just to really start being grateful for more things. And I'll share with you in a couple of these. There was one really that, when she shared what she was grateful for, I was blown away. I was like, wow, I am really an ungrateful person. And that's not something I would have ever thought to be grateful for. Okay, so the 10 lists that you should make, or that you can make for gratitude. List number one, and like I said, these first two are ones that she highly recommended, and the rest of them are ones that you could swap out for other ones if you found something that you felt was more applicable or you'd rather do. So list number one is people who you feel grateful for who have passed away. And she said the caveat is you cannot list family members and you cannot list church leaders, because she said those are people that obviously you're grateful for. You want to think outside the box and learn more. So for her, she listed the one she mentioned was Teddy Roosevelt and gave some reasons why she was grateful for Teddy Roosevelt and the example he was and the type of person he was. And I was thinking through of the people that I would list, and I haven't, like I said, we're going to do it as a family this week, but I think the people that I would put, certainly I think George Washington would be one for me, and probably, Abraham Lincoln, two people that exemplified integrity and honesty and hard work and those types of things. So, thinking through and making a list of the people who have passed away that you are grateful for that aren't members of your family and aren't church leaders. List number two are people that are alive that you're grateful for, again, who aren't members of your family and aren't church leaders. And this is the one where I realized I have a long ways to go with being grateful because the person she listed was the person that reads her electricity meter. And she said, because um, she's grateful for electricity. She said that when she was a kid, she didn't have electricity when she was growing up, part of her growing up years, and so she was very grateful for the person that read her electrical meter, her utility meter, because it was indicative that she had electricity. And I was like, wow, I've never thought to be thankful for my utility meter reader. So that was an eye opening one for me. So again, people who are alive, who you're grateful for. Number three, places. Places you've been to, places that warm up, have a warm place in your heart. Places that you have seen on TV that you think are beautiful or that you would like to go to. Just places you're grateful for. Places you're grateful that they exist. Number four, foods. Foods that are your favorites. She said a lot of people throughout the world they eat solely to live, but that's not the case for her, and for most of us, it isn't. So foods that you enjoy, foods that you appreciate. I think this could certainly be. Um, I think this could certainly be foods that remind you of certain things. If there's a food that your parents always made and it reminds you of a certain time in your childhood, those types of things. Um, Number five, things of nature. Things in nature that you appreciate. Whether it's I think she listed like the national parks. She listed the Columbia River Gorge, which is near where we live. Just things like that you really appreciate. It probably also could be things like the forest or trees or a nice lawn or something like things like that probably could be listed as well. Um, what are we on? Number six, material possessions. Things that you have that maybe you've worked hard for, or that have value to you because of who they were from, or who gave them to you, or I guess those are the two of the same things, or what they represent. Those types of things. Number seven, your own personal attributes. Any attributes you have that you're grateful for. Um, and I think sometimes this one is really hard because I think a lot of times we don't see the good in ourselves. So this would be a good thing to recognize and to be grateful for is personal attributes that you have. Number eight, 10 things from the scriptures, either stories or verses that really um, have impacted you. 10 things that have impacted you from the scriptures. Number nine, gospel principles or teachings from the gospel that you appreciate and that you're grateful for. And number 10, modern inventions, modern things that we have today that you're grateful for. The one that she listed was electricity because she said she didn't have it, as a child. So those are the 10 lists. And like I said, my family and I think what we're going to do, I think I'm going to, as soon as I get off recording here, I'm going to grab some blank pieces of paper and I'm going to write at the top each list and just encourage my family, my wife, my kids, to as they go by it and they think of something to write it down, and we can just make a full list of things that we are grateful for, and just be thinking about that as we go through Thanksgiving. So again, you can get that full list of lists of the 10 lists of things to be grateful for at everydayconversion.com/119 /119, and you get that full list there. And we will see you in the next episode.
All right, that's it for today. Now, I know you want to hang out with me longer, but we both have a ton of things to do today, including living the gospel and trying to be like Jesus. Cue primary children singing.
I'm trying to be like Jesus.
But hey, if you want to get the links to everything we talked about today, you can find it on the episodes page of everydayconversion.com. You can also do cool stuff like subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast listening platform, sign up for email notifications of new episodes, and connect with us on social media there. It's kind of like a virtual church library without the militant librarians or a piece of paper to sign out your 3 tiny pieces of chalk for your lesson. Also, just remember, I do my best to make sure my opinions are in line with official church doctrine, but they are just that. They're my opinions. For official doctrine and viewpoints, I recommend you go to churchofjesuschrist.org or comeuntochrist.org.